Hey everyone, my name is Josh and I study blood flow restriction training. And the goal of these videos is to make blood flow restriction training easy for you so you can better understand it, you can better apply it in practice. In this video, I want to go over whether blood flow restriction training is safe. And to address safety, I want to go over the three common concerns people have when it comes to this type of training. And the first concern people have relates to blood pressure. Okay, the concern that blood flow restriction training would cause this exaggerated increase in blood pressure that goes outside normal or safe levels. Now, if I was to do any kind of training, okay, let's say I'm doing a light-weighted bicep curl, I would see an increase in my blood pressure. This is a normal physiological response. Now, if I was to combine this light-weighted bicep curl with blood flow restriction, I would see a greater increase in my blood pressure. Okay, so blood flow restriction training does cause a greater increase in blood pressure compared to the same training without blood flow restriction. But it's important to keep in mind, and studies have shown that this greater increase in blood pressure with blood flow restriction still remains within physiological normal levels, still remains within safe blood pressure levels. The second concern people have with blood flow restriction relates to blood clots. Okay, when people think of blood flow restriction, their mind goes to blood pooling and blood clotting. But this concern appears largely unfounded by the literature. Okay, studies actually have shown that blood flow restriction training does not negatively affect the balance between coagulation and fibrinolytic activity. Okay, it's important to remember that we're only partially restricting blood flow, really only for a few minutes, right? We're not completely occluding blood flow, and we're not doing it for several hours. Now, the third concern people have relates to muscle damage. Does blood flow restriction actually cause structural damage to the muscle tissue? And this concern also has shown largely unfounded by the literature. Okay, studies have shown that blood flow restriction does stress the muscle tissue, but it does not structurally damage it. Okay, now blood flow restriction does cause muscle soreness. Okay, but it's important not to confuse muscle soreness with actual structural damage, right? Muscle soreness is a normal thing that happens after any traditional resistance training. And actually, the muscle soreness you get after blood flow restriction training is often less than the muscle soreness a person experiences after just traditional heavyweight exercise. Okay? Now, there's also been studies that have tracked the adverse events that have been reported in blood flow restriction training studies. Okay, and these studies have shown that the adverse events that have been reported are really no more severe and no more frequent than the adverse events that happen after just traditional resistance training. Okay, so is blood flow restriction training safe? Well, there is a scientific consensus that blood flow restriction training is safe, okay? And there's really no more risk than just doing traditional heavyweight exercise. But this all relies on blood flow restriction being applied properly. Okay. In my next videos, I'm going to start to get into how to properly apply blood flow restriction training. I'm going to start with how to properly find and set the correct safe pressure in the cuff. Okay.